This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Sussex County Federal Credit Union.
Well, if you have kids in college, or maybe you're putting yourself through college, you already know the costs add up quickly. Trust me, I know.
Bless your heart, you're going through that now, aren't you? It is so much more than just tuition. There's room, there's board, there's books, meal plans, transportation costs. And if you're trying to figure out how to pay for it all, well, our next guest can help you. Debbie Jewell is the Business Development Manager with Sussex County Federal Credit Union. I'll get it right here in a second. Just give me a second. So I almost feel like I should ask you this question. What are some of the costs we're looking at?
Unfortunately, poor Lisa's experiencing this right now. Obviously, you have tuition, but after tuition, there are a lot of additional costs that sometimes people aren't planning for, and it involves money management, both from the parent and from the student. There are obviously fees associated with your tuition. Mm-hmm. There's room and board, books, transportation, whether you're a commuting student or whether you're going back and forth to school on the weekends. You're going from home to school on the weekends. Actually, in-state, your cost can be over $20,000 a year, and if you're going out of state as an out-of-state resident, your cost can be over $32,000. And obviously, that can change based on the college you go to and how far away it is and so forth. But there are so many opportunities to help someone maximize their cash. So once you have that initial student loan that you need, how are you going to pay for everything else? What are some ways that can help your money go further? So
the first thing probably would be to establish a budget.
Establish a budget, exactly. And while it's new to the student, they don't realize how much they're going to need every week, every month. But really sit down with the student and say, okay, let's set a plan up right now. In 1 month, we'll reevaluate it. How much cash you're actually going to withdraw from the ATM per month. How much you're going to spend on meals that aren't included maybe in your meal plan. What are you going to spend on gas? Getting to and from, work after classes. So really establish the budget of what you're going to need. Track the spending of your purchases for that first month to determine, yeah, I really could use a little bit less. Maybe I could, increase it just a little bit. I realized that I'm eating out a lot more than I anticipated.
Maybe not go for the full latte coffee every morning.
That can definitely make a difference. Or when everyone says, oh, hey, we're going down to the pizza shop, come on down. And that happens, twice a day and 5 times a week, Also, books. Books can be a very expensive cost. So research books, research them online. You can go online, consider buying used, and that's a great way to also help you keep some additional cash and money in your budget. And then avoid using credit for unnecessary expenses. So if you do have to go to the bookstore and you see the bag of Doritos and you see a soda, don't just go, let me swipe this, and there's $5, $6 on a credit card that you don't necessarily need. And it is, it's brand new independence for a student. So it is nice to have that freedom to make those choices, but at the same time, in the long run, there could be repercussions from not using it.
You need to help them learn about that too. So we set the budget.
Set the budget.
Then I guess we need to make sure we've got the accounts.
Exactly. There's some financial accounts that students should consider having in place, and one would be a student checking account. So whether your student's going locally or they're going to school far away, is there a minimum balance that's required in their checking account? Can alerts be set on the checking account so both the student and or their joint, whoever's on the account, are notified that if it falls below a certain balance, that they may want to limit their spending, or there may need to be a deposit made into the account. And based on that initial schedule you have set up about how much you're going to spend each month or each week, it can help you also stay in line with that. What personal guidelines are you going to use with your checking account? Are you only going to use it to make withdrawals for purchases at the bookstore, or for supplies, or for a certain amount of food per month? Personal expenses. So you really want to set up that guideline. And an ATM card, a Visa debit card, can be used anywhere. Nothing's worse than paying an ATM fee. Why get penalized for accessing your own money? So you want to make sure when you're establishing the student checking account, are there ATM restrictions? Can you use surcharge-free ATMs? Are you going to be billed for excess charges by using a Mac machine each month? So those are some things to consider.
Now you talk about debit cards. What about Visa cards, credit cards? Should they have credit cards?
A credit card is something nice for a student to have. It would be considered a student visa. It's a great way for a student to establish credit. One of the nice things about student visa is they are required to have a co-signer. So they're able to access the credit, however, they have a co-signer, and it is a resource for them in the event of some unexpected expense that arises. So there's two types of visas, student visas. One has a low introductory rate of 8% with a credit limit of $1,000. So there can't be an excessive use, you know, charging up $25,000 unexpectedly and not realizing where that came from. And there's also a shared secured visa. And the funds for that credit card are actually held in the student's savings account or their parent's account or their joint owner's account. The credit limit is a little bit higher there, so it gives you a few more options, and the credit limit on those is about $2,500.
But you have a little more control and input on
You have a little bit
what's
more
going on.
control and input, exactly.
How about that?
And
Okay,
you're earning interest on the funds that are secured in your savings account at the same time.
What about reliable transportation? This was a point that was brought up this morning. Financing options for getting reliable transportation.
Yes, and again, this is whether the student's commuting back and forth from out of state home on the weekends. If they're going daily to and from college, you may need a vehicle. You need a dependable vehicle to get to your classes. You need a dependable vehicle to get to that job that you may have after your classes to and from. So the credit union actually offers a first-time auto buyers program. There's a special introductory rate, well actually a standard fixed rate for first-time auto buyers. And in addition to that special rate they can receive, there's also a discount they can receive on their insurance simply for being a credit union member. So that kind of keeps additional cash in your pocket as well.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it
All
is
right.
a good thing.
So much information. Thank you so
And money
much.
management is probably one of the key things that gets overlooked for a lot of first-time college students because, again, there's so much new independence,
Right.
and that is one of them that's very important that gets overlooked. So I would suggest definitely talking to your college student who's going off and the importance of managing their money.
All right.
I got to put
Through
in
the
that
tears,
conversation
Lisa,
still.
through the
Yeah, we're
tears,
having
talk
that
to your
conversation.
Debbie,
talk to your
thank
daughter.
you so much for sharing
Thank
all
you,
this.
Jimmy. Thank
Great
you,
stuff.
Lisa.
And if you would like more information on how to manage your money, go to delmarvalife.com and click on the Show tab.
So you know how to make a budget to pay for college, but what degree is really going to pay off? Well, we're going to run through the top paying jobs for 2012.
Plus, once you get the interview, you'll want to nail it. A few common mistakes college grads want to avoid before they even get in the door.
And we are still trying to figure out where Brian is this afternoon. Now, we do know that wherever he is, he's 119 miles from Washington, D.C. So the next question is, Brian, what's our second clue?
Well, maybe the second clue will be helpful. So here it is, clue number 2. The town served as a major port. What's that all about? One more clue to come. Stay with us. We will be right back.